Peter Sarkisian plays with illusion in his video installations.
I think it's ironic how artists come from all over the world because of the beautiful New Mexico light. And here I am blocking it out. There's a lot of tension between the tools that I use. Video, it's a very grid-like technological tool, and where I live and where I produce the work. And I couldn't live in New York, I couldn't live in a big city that's very grid-like and use this medium, which is also grid-like, because there'd be no tension. One of the tricks here is to create this situation, this platform, this sculpture, projector, and all these images I map using a motion graphics program right here in this situation. So I don't do this on a screen, on a monitor. I do it projected on the actual surface, so that what I am able to do then is take these shapes and place them on there. The discussion that is happening in these robots have everything to do with the way video is being used and sort of remapping video, reinventing video, taking video out of the frame line and applying it and sort of, mapping it over a contoured surface in a way that makes it tangible, makes it something you can hold and grab. And that, for these pieces, that's kind of what I'm exploring. I'm trying to push the limits of what you can do with this medium. So all these images, all these gears in here that you see spinning, they were all photographed up in Los Alamos at the Black Hole. In a back room, I set up all these old gears and I filmed them, just short little sequences. And then I animated them later on to create these ongoing patterns. But each one of these gears is an actual gear from the Cold War. Really, they're just sitting on shelves up there gathering dust. They'll never be used in any other way. And they have this sort of nefarious, dark sort of past. I wanted to reincorporate them, sort of bring them back to life and give them a new purpose. Essentially what I'm doing with video is I'm trying to transform an experience-killing medium, which video itself does away with experience. It replaces it with information, and there's a lot of value in that information, but it's not enough. We need more than that. We need the experience that comes from encountering people and places in the world, because in that experience, there's an inherent quality that we can't get anywhere else, and it's feedback, it's consequence. Oh boy. I very rarely use monitors or screens because those are fixed, flat surfaces that, that have frames. One of the things that I really try to control is frame line, the edges of the device that's presenting this information. You see the frame, you understand that image as being false. The frame gives it away. You understand the image as representing something that was photographed somewhere else at a different time, and now it's just being mediated to you. And the way they do that is they coax the viewer into a narrative, or they use music or sound or colors, narrative plot line. And they use all these tools to sort of remove the viewer from their actual experience. And so frame is this telling characteristic for me that it takes all the tension out of the contradiction that I'm trying to create by using media or video to create illusion. If you see the frame, you don't have the illusion. So what I do is I map images, for example, what would normally be a rectangular frame is now the shape of this book. And you don't see the frame line, you just see the book. And so then you have the figure crawling out. In the case of the Cup of Joe piece, it's a large cup of coffee sitting on a desk, and inside the coffee cup I poured a plastic resin, polymer resin, and on top of that I project this little image of a person floating dead in their coffee. And so you don't have a frame line. What you have is a coffee cup, and the frame line has been sort of consumed by the coffee cup, and you don't question the frame line. I'm using coffee, and I'm using this vintage character and his vintage suit and the vintage check and tabletop to sort of point back to a different time, an older time. But I kind of wanted to connect this era and this crash with a different era and a different financial crash. Some pieces really only sort of force perceptual traps. They only go to that place with the viewer. They don't involve any political narrative. They don't tell any narrative story. So I'm using references and metaphor and images to construct scenarios that the viewer then has to interpret. And I never, ever, ever try to beat anybody over the head with what I'm doing. I don't want to provide answers in my work. I want to pose questions. And that's my role in all of this, is posing questions. Answers are fleeting. Answers are an illusion. They don't exist. You know, the artist has many roles, but I think at the heart of what I'm doing is it's exploring ideas. What does this mean? What is my relationship to this? Both in terms of the narrative of the individual pieces, as well as the means by which I'm staging these installations. Intention is different, number one. I mean, painters use paint. Commercial car manufacturing corporations use paint. There's a big difference between, you know, Jackson Pollock and the Ford Motor Company. They both use paint. So artists are, you know, have this role to play insofar as they're helping shape the way we're all going to sort of incorporate or live with these tools. Every viewer that walks in and sees something and doesn't understand it and has a real sort of a notable life experience watching one of my pieces, that's kind of what I'm going for. Because then they become aware that maybe there's more to this medium than meets the eye. Maybe this can be used in a way that actually gives something back to us on a daily basis.